Today I'm just going to be showing you how I do my editing. So first things first, you have to load the image into Photoshop. This was taken like 2-3 days ago. This was taken using the Sony a7R III. Alright. First thing I always do, I create a copy of my original layer. So in case I want to go back in it and see the changes that I made from that. So the next thing I'm going to start on is the advanced frequency separation. Actually, wait. Nope. Alright guys, I'm going to be showing you how to do some Alright, what's up guys? This is your boy Chris here, back again with another one. So I'm going to show you guys how I do my editing, starting off from a raw file, and it's going to go all the way through my speed editing on how I do the retouching for the skin and everything else. So first things first, I like to start off by raising exposure a little bit. I like to get more of that detail in, because I like slightly underexposed this one, because I was trying to get the ambient background in perfectly. Alright, raise the shadows. I still want some of these details in this side of the skin and over here as well. So dehaze. It was a little bit hazy that day too, so a little bit of saturation. Alright. These are already set. So I want to drop the highlights just a little bit more. Raise the lights a little bit. So I'm going for that boom. Look. Luminance, always put it at 15 just to retain the quality of the image. Not always put on. I always put on remove chromatic aberration. Just something I learned from a person I learned from, John Casoli. So I always do that. Okay, now it's time to start an actual photo. It was taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. I guess that's what I get for using the Sony a7R III. File space a lot larger. Alright, it's perfect. Alright, I don't want to zoom in too much, Alright, first things first. Get rid of that background. I don't need that. So I always like to duplicate my layer right off the bat, because I want to make sure that I can go back to the original file after I do everything. So in case I make a mistake, I can always just go back and retouch it. Alright, first things first. I just like to fix a little bit of the hair, because alright, I have to rasterize layer. First things first, I always like to fix the hair if I see anything wrong with it. Sometimes just a little bit of the hair is out that I personally don't like. You might not notice it, but to my eyes, it's like crazy. So I'm just clone stamping over using the background. Now sometimes these things can make or break your image. You want to do too much. I just like to do small changes. See, that small little change to me just makes it a world difference. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is use frequency separation. I learned this off of YouTube. It's I use the FX-Ray retouch action. You can go to their site and download it. Link would be in the description. Alright, So with that, all you have to do is tap which frequency you want to use. So I always use advanced because it separates it into multiple layers, as you're going to see in a minute. And when I'm doing it, I always like to focus on the eye first, just to see how in focus it is or how blurred out it is. Usually I do mine around 4.5, 4.6 because that's like the perfect layer. You don't want to do too much where the skin starts to look plastic, or you don't want to do too little where it barely does anything for the skin. Alright. First things first, I always start on a low frequency edit layer where I start off with what's this brush called again? The Mixer Brush tool. So the Mixer Brush tool, what I'll be using that for is blending the colors, because you always want a smooth transition in between the shadows, the highlights, and the midtones. So I always do that. My settings are always 20, 30, 30, 30, and 30 again. So always make sure to have this on, because if not, you'll be adding in colors yourself like that. And I prefer not to have that. So just make sure it's just picking up once it's already on the layer. Alright, so you always want a big enough brush. From there, you just click and drag slightly, just like I'm doing. You don't want to drag like this to where it starts to drag the tones too much. So you always want to do it where you're picking up just a little bit. So you start to see the difference in skin. Alright. So now I'm working on the cheek here. Just need a little bit bigger brush. And always constantly adjust it as you're doing. If this piece of the skin is a lot larger, you have a lot more opportunity to like use bigger brush. Right, I just like to always drag that out just a little bit, that highlight on the nose, so it seems like it's just a little bit sun-kissed, you know? Alright. See, she already had great skin because she was going for portrait already. We linked up and we're like, you gonna shoot real quick? Just a little bit more over here. Now, look at the difference. It's not a major difference, it just evens out the shading on everything. That can sometimes make or break your image. Because I'm always looking for that high-end retouch type look, where they're looking super professional, even though I can't afford like a professional makeup artist yet to collab with. Hey, if you know someone that's willing to collab, send it my way. Especially on Instagram or anything. Just a little bit more on those edges. So from there, as you can see, it's a lot clearer. Alright, next thing I do, I always go over, in case there's like a little bit blemishes, you want to change it just a little bit. You don't want to do too much where the skin is looking perfect and fishy. Because, you know, we all have little imperfections. Just like that. Just in case I want to change that skin. So as you can see, the color for that pimple was on the next layer. It was on low frequency edit. High frequency is only with the pattern of the skin. So it's dealing with like the texture and everything. I'm gonna want to take that low frequency brush again. Just do a little bit more on this cheek. I feel like it just needs a little bit more color blending. Alright, that's what I'm talking about. Alright, from there, to me, this image is already amazing. Because it's just doing the small touch-ups. Alright, from there I always go into, actually no. Yeah. Curves. So I see there's like a lot of red, technically. So I see there's a lot of red in this image. And I always want to play with that just a little bit. So you want to create a little curve in which it's a little bit too much. I'll do it just like right about there. I want to reduce the red in the shadows. So I always drag that bottom end down so that the hair is like black, so it seems realistic. And oh wait, I don't want to drag the reds. I want to do it right there. Alright, now I'll mess with the greens a little bit. That's way too high. Just want to do the small tweaks. So it just brings more focus onto her face, like she's looking straight into your soul. That was the look we were going for. You know, like snatch his soul out. Alright. Just add another curves layer just because that's the one I want to play with. Alright. It just changes how the light bends. Very minimalistic. Minimally? Whatever word, you know. So I'm going for it. Alright, gradients. Nope, not that color. For gradients, I always go with the photographic toning because it makes it easier. Sometimes I always like to play around. I always do it in soft light. It's my preference. I like how it does this. I always drag it down to about so that adds in a little bit of dramatic lighting. Makes like the eyes pop a little bit. Eyes and face pop a little bit. So after that, I'm not gonna do. Alright. Go into the color balance a little bit. I wanna add my own stylistic. So I like to have it with this image because of how the background is very warm colors. I want to match that in her face in the shadows. So add a little bit of warmth there. Just a touch of actually -1. See how it, like this is before, just add, it's rich, makes the color more rich. So after that, midtones, I'll add just one there. I want to add just a little bit of green. Because if you see, like I'm going to show you this difference between the colors. I like it where it just adds that, because the skin will become a little bit too pink to me. I'll leave that at 0 for the blue and yellows. Alright, now this is where things... Since I'm going for that like golden natural light look, I add a lot more yellows in the highlights. Because the highlights are like right here, everything else. I might desaturate it just a little. Actually, I might lower that just to 4. Because before you can see it's a little bit more blue here, but it adds in that warm light. Alright, next, vibrance. I want to make it a little bit more vibrant. See, we can, if you want, you can always desaturate your image to where it goes like this. It does look good already, but I always like to, with this I love the colors, so I need to add in, make the colors a little more vibrant. Alright. Brightness and contrast. I want to raise the brightness just a little bit more, because as I was editing it, I saw that it has that, I don't want to over sharp, I don't want to over contrast it. Then everything's just blown out completely. This, to me, it's not usable. So as that, just a little amount of light. Alright, put a those all in one folder together. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is a little bit more creative. I like to add in just a little bit of it's not the color I was going for. A little bit of orange, because I'm liking her makeup already. I want it to pop just a little bit more. Alright, right there. No, opacity at like 14%. So what I'm doing is just adding in a little bit of orange undertone. Actually, nope. Nope. There it is. And add in a little bit more of that pink. So as of right now, it looks way too much, right? Alright, now this is where the mixer brush can come back in. So because I already have these colors here, I can blend them a little bit more. Now the best part, what I like to do, drop that to about 14%. Now, sometimes with the lines crossed over a little bit, what I'm going to do is erase it about. There. Might want to drop it to like 8%. So it just helps pop her makeup out a little bit more. Now next thing, add dodge and burn. So I was add this just cause, especially for things like the lips, I want to draw a little bit more attention to it. That second one is what I want to burn in. Now later you're gonna see I'm gonna try something a little bit. So I burned just around. Nope, a little too much there. So you see how to make the lips pop more, make them look. Next thing I'm going to do, so because I like how the lip gloss already had a nice look to it, I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the eyes, but this time I'm gonna use a little lighter pink. Then it's a very slight red. I don't know what I think it's called, the inner lip, outer lip. in a loop. A loop. We're in a beltway, so I was using the beltway. Alright, now I'm going to do back to the mixer brush. So I'm going to want to if it's a little bit too bright, you always want to just always dial it back to the right opacity that I think matches what I want to do. Notice might look super weird right now. See, right now it looks like, we're in one of those, I think it's bubblegum pop. I forget. It's like the Neo Tokyo type movies. 10%. Now, I feel as though there's a little bit of, because I messed up over here. Like I brightened here and here, but I didn't brighten the upper. So I want to go back in, add a little bit of orange there, a little orange around the edges. Now, mixer brush tool again. Now this is where we're going to lower it just a tad. Because this is it at full. Ooh, let me erase that, the edges. So as you can see, it's very simple. Hey, this is some new stuff I'm practicing with. So I thought, you gotta do what you gotta make do with what you have, I'm not a professional makeup artist yet. So I want to make the makeup pop just a little bit more. Like it's very minimalistic on the edges. I might go with a fill. So it's more. Oh, I'm already liking that. Black and white. Nope. Nah, go back to the original settings. Back to luminosity. Alright, now this is an important step. We're going to be fixing the skin tone. I want to drag back the yellows to make sure it looks as natural as possible. Don't want it to seem edited because that's an important part of Photoshop. Alright, now this is the final image. Everything looks perfect. I'm just gonna check our layers real quick, before and after. Boom.